I've been looking forward to this one for days, and I've been sitting here watching mangoes not ripening for me. So anyway, we finally got there, and I get to do this one for you today. We're making pork and mango and Caribbean spices, and I am so excited about this one, and I think it's going to be super easy. I've done all of my chopping and stuff beforehand, so that's the only time-consuming part. The rest of this is going to come together very quick, and I think the flavors are going to be fantastic. So stay tuned. Welcome to Grow Preserve. I'm Carter, and I'm so glad you're here today. All right, let's get going on this super easy recipe. This is from the Hands-on Home book, and as I mentioned in another video, I think that this book is out of print. At least on Amazon, it looks that way to me. There are some used copies available. You can get it on Kindle. I'll put the link down below. I'm really enjoying this book, but if you can find a copy of it, you know, in hardback, it's nice to have reference books in hardback, I think. Kindle's fine, but, you know, I'd rather sit around and read a Tom Clancy or something on a Kindle than a reference book. But anyway, this is terrific, and I'm going to give you everything that goes in it today, and we're going to take care of it so quickly. All right, this is going to start with 4.5 pounds of trimmed raw pork shoulder. So if you have ever trimmed a raw pork shoulder before, you know, number one, it is not a really good time. And number two, you end up with a lot of waste. Now, as you can see from mine, I left plenty of fat in there. I did try to get off the silver skin and all that kind of stuff, and any big hunks of fat. I just don't want that, particularly in a recipe where we're going for the sauce as part of the meat, right? So I got off most of the fat. I left some. There's just no, you know, no real avoiding it in pork, and I'm totally okay with that. So 4.5 pounds after it's been trimmed. Okay, that took, well, I'm looking at mine. I got one of those giant things at Costco, and we're gonna eat the other half tonight for dinner. I'm thinking it probably was 8 pounds, 8 pound-ish, you know, 9 pounds maybe, no, 8 pounds. Let's go with 8 pounds that I started with to get 4.5 pounds. At least that'll keep you relatively, you know, within the same ballpark. And then we need 3 ripe mangoes, diced, which I have right here. So it says 4 cups. So I know someone is going to ask, because as you know, peeling a ripe mango is not a whole lot of fun either. Someone is going to ask if you can use frozen mangoes. The answer is yes, you can. Defrost them first, and then you want to turn them into a dice. I don't know how big those chunks are, those bags from Costco or whatever, but you don't, you know, you just want a, I don't know, nickel size, smaller than a quarter size of mango, right? Because we don't want huge hunks in there. We want this to kind of get mushy and saucy. And we need 4 cloves of garlic. Nope, wrong again. 6 cloves of garlic. Now I used more than that because my garlic was really, really tiny. So I've got the equivalent of 6 what I would call real cloves in there. Okay, so those are the things I have diced up already. All we're gonna do is put them in this bowl, mix them together, and it did say to leave the pork in large chunks. This is supposed to make 6 pints. We'll see, may make a little bit more. I went a little bit over on my pork and probably a little bit over on my mango. I'm hoping actually to get an extra half pint that I can do as a taste test before this comes out. Okay, so in goes my garlic. This is 6 cloves of garlic chopped. Now, let's get on to the spices. Let's get the apple cider vinegar in first. We need 1/2 cup. Okay, so we need 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar. All right, 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar. And then we have a bunch of seasonings that all sound delicious to me. I'm going to start with the salt. 1 tablespoon of, it says specifically kosher salt, but what it really means is non-iodized salt. So I'm going to use Redmond's real salt. You can use Redmond's real salt, you can use pink salt, you can use, I don't know, whatever the other salts are, the Celtic sea salt, anything, and kosher salt, of course, canning salt. You could use anything that has not had added artificial iodine, or iodine added artificially, I guess I should say. Okay, salt is done. Let's get the lightly packed brown sugar. Now, I don't have brown sugar, so I'm going to use sugar. Well, I'm going to use allulose, but you could use sugar and a little bit of molasses. So 3 tablespoons. Just a little bit of molasses to turn that into brown sugar. Ooh. And let's see, pepper, half a teaspoon. That's a teaspoon, so I used half of it. Half a teaspoon of allspice. I just love the smell of allspice. All right, half a teaspoon of allspice. Half a teaspoon of chipotle pepper powder. Smidge more. Make sure I don't forget anything. Half a teaspoon of dried thyme. If you don't like one of these spices, just leave it out. Okay, half a teaspoon of ground ginger and 1/8 a teaspoon of ground cloves. And that's it. All right, that's my ginger. Interesting, okay. And my cloves, 1/8 of a teaspoon. Okay, I'm gonna call that 1/8. I'm gonna mix this up and we're gonna stick it in a jar. I mean, literally, it's that easy. I really want to make sure that the spices get distributed evenly. Okay. All right, let's get this jarred up. Let me bring the jars over. I've got everything ready to go. All right, my jars are clean and ready to go. They're cold. We're doing a raw pack, so cold jars, cold food, cold canner. And we are going to pressure can this for 75 minutes in pints. So let's see how this goes. I want 1-inch headspace, so when I smush that down a bit, I'm probably going to get there, but we'll see. think I'm gonna get another entire pint out of this. Maybe I grab one more jar, clean up my mess. All right, I have a 7th pint out here. As I mentioned, I was a little heavy on the pork and a little heavy on the mango. I have a lot of mangoes left in here that I'd really like to use. Let's get these poked down a bit. All right. Although there is a little liquid in this, not so much debubbling as I am making sure that I can get my headspace right. Okay, so I can put a little more mango in there. Oh, plenty of room in that one. So in my house, I'm expecting this pint to serve the 2 of us, along with side dishes, or you put it on top of rice or serve it with some beans or something. All of that would be terrific. I have one little piece of pork left and a decent amount of mango. Be 3/4 of a cup left, so I'm going to see how much of that I can get in here. Okay, 1 jumper. All right, let's see what I can do. All right, I think that's about all I can cram in these jars. It's always a little frustrating because you know that as the pork cooks, it's going to sink down. All right, get this out of the way. All right, I have cleaned up just a bit and sanitized my workspace because I did have a few pork-covered mango pieces that jumped out of the dish, so I don't want that anywhere. So everything has been sanitized now. And I'm going to clean up the rims of these jars. So of course, while you're cleaning the rims, you are not only checking to make sure there are no spices on there, no brown sugar, no juices of any kind, but you also want to make sure that there are no cracks, dents, any kind of imperfection in the lid there that might prevent a seal, or in the rim, I suppose. So I ended up getting 7 full pints out of this. So we'll open a full pint maybe tomorrow, and you'll see it on this video. I do like to try to, whenever I can, taste things. Some things need to sit for a while. This one probably should sit for a while. Make sure all the spices blend. All right, let's get our lids on, rings on. As I said, we're going to start with a cold pressure canner. And we're going to let it vent for, come up to steam. Let it steam for 10 minutes. And then let it can for process for 75 minutes for pints. If you're doing these in quarts, of course, that would be 90 minutes. If you need some new canning lids, my link for 4 jars is always down below on all of my videos, at least on all my canning videos. I had to run downstairs and get some. I keep them down in the root cellar, canning pantry, whatever you want to call it. And it is raining outside, so I had to put on a raincoat and a umbrella to go get some canning lids. But anyway, okay, I'm gonna put these in the canner. I'll bring you right over here and show you. Okay, so I've just plugged this in. We're gonna pressure can, so we click yes. pressure can for 75 minutes. So we'll click yes. Insert jars. Now I'm going to go ahead and click this because I want my jars to warm up slowly with the water. I don't want it to go ahead and heat the water up and then have me put the jars in. Okay, everybody is snugly in there. The lid on, turn it, and clamp it down here. And it is going to warm the jars. And then when it says that the jars are warm and that the water is warm, then I'll just click yes, keep going, right? My jars are already filled in there, but they're going to heat up slowly so we don't have any, temperature shock kind of problems. Okay. We'll be back when this is done. The canner does the rest of the work for me. So I'll see you in a bit when we take these out. All right, we are back for the taste test on the Caribbean pork. It has been 2 days, I think, since I canned it. And so here we go. It looks good. I will note that there's a bit of variation in the amounts of liquid between the jars and a bit of variation in the amounts of mango. So next time I might add all the meat mixed with the seasonings and the apple cider vinegar and sugar and molasses and stuff, and add the mango separately so that I get a decent chunk in each one. All right, let's open this. It smells good. All right, I'm going to heat this up for our dinner. Whoa! Apparently I'm going to make quite the mess as well. All right, I can already tell you that I would do the meat in smaller chunks. I like things to come out of the jar really pretty much ready to go, except for just heating. All right, now I can crank this back up a bit. Yeah, so my mango is going to dissolve a bit when I reheat it. It's very, very soft, which is fine. I think what we really want is for the mango to become part of the sauce. So David and I are going to have this for dinner tonight with some air-fried potatoes. And I'm going to do my little taste test on a keto tortilla here. So we'll see how it goes. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of this on my tortilla. I love mango and pork. Nothing better to me than a pulled pork and mango salsa tortilla. So this won't have the Mexican bent to it, but I think it's still going to be, whoa, a good combination. A little bit by itself. Okay, real quickly, we have just finished eating the Caribbean pork for dinner, and I wanted to give you some more feedback on that. I do think it needs more salt. I had originally thought it was fine, but I think it needs more salt. It needs some oomph in the flavor department. So I think it needs a little more heat, needs a little more salt. It could use a bit of smokiness, and it could frankly use a little bit more sweetness, like maybe some cinnamon or a little more molasses or brown sugar or whatever. I think would be a really good add. I also would like to have more mango in mine next time. So I know that sounds like maybe it's not a good recipe, and I don't think that's the case. I just think my palate wants more spice and more flavor than the author's, maybe than yours, I don't know. But play with it and see what you think, because I think it has really good potential. I would serve that on top of rice. Maybe if you like beans with it, oh, I would definitely serve it with some fried plantains. And there's like a plantain mash, something or other we had in Puerto Rico one time. It has a name, can't remember. If you know it, put it down below. I think it would be terrific with that. It was good on a tortilla, but again, that was a big tell that it needed more flavoring for me because it was overwhelmed by a flour tortilla. It was good with the potatoes, but again, more oomph to it. All right, oh, and then the other thing I would do is I would crisp it up a little bit, because it went in raw and it has never been crisped at all. And I like a little bit of crisp on my pork. So that would be Izzy shoe grease. So I would crisp it up just a little bit before you serve it. So feel free to play with it. You can add any spices you want, take away any spices you want, add different, up them, whatever it is you want to do. The spices are not going to affect the safety of a canning recipe like this. So you play with it. If you find a great combination, please let me know, because I'm definitely going to do this one again with some tweaks. So if you find some more tweaks in the meantime, let me know. All right, thanks so much for being here. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that this gives you a fun recipe to play with. All right, bye-bye.